Time will always have its way. Consider Dunarn House, a grand house in its day, which today lies half hidden under the shadow of a nearby wood. Its passages overgrown with weeds and nettles, its ceilings rotted, its beams worn by tendrils of ivy, its once elegant walls stained and moldy with rotten plaster. But as I said, 'twas a grand house in its day. Sure, it was a fine estate when Sir Dominick came into it, and grand doings there were. There was free quarters to the pipers all the country round, and a hearty welcome to all that cared to come. There was wine by the hogshead, enough poitín to set a town ablaze, and enough beer and cider to float a navy. And Sir Dominick was only beginning where his predecessors had left off. But sure, there was not a way of getting rid of his money in his estates that Sir Dominick did not try. And what with the drinking and the dicing and the racing and the cards, the estates were soon in debt, and Sir Dominick was a distressed man. So late one night, he called for old Connor Hanlon, the butler, and Sir Dominick says to Con, "I need to say a word to you. Listen to what I tell you, and don't be afeard to say what you think." "And why should I be afeard, Master Dominick? Yourself has always been a good master to me, as was your father, God rest his soul afore ye. I'll say the truth and dar the devil." "It's all over with me, Con." "Heaven forbid." "Oh, I'm past praying for. The last guinea's gone, and this old place will soon follow it. Con, they say that if the devil gets you gold by night, you'll find nothing but a bag full of nutshells and pebbles on the morrow. But if I thought the old fellow'd play fair, I'd be ready to make a bargain with him this very night. Heaven forbid. I'm going out to the deer park. If I be coming back, you'll be seeing me in an hour's time. But whether I come back or not, you'd better not follow me. For if you do, I'll have to shoot you. And that would be a bad ending to our friendship." So Sir Dominick left the house and headed toward the deer park with the intention of hanging himself once he reached the center of the wood, provided no better thought came to him before then. He arrived at the center of the woods. He reached up to test the sturdy branch. He heard a clanking sound coming along the dry ground. A gentleman appeared. He was a fine gentleman like himself. He wore a cocked hat with gold braid and a cape embroidered with gold thread. The gentleman spoke, offering Sir Dominick a large pouch filled with gold. "I am recruiting, sir, for my sovereign." Sir Dominick stepped back. "You'll find that my gold won't turn to nutshells and pebbles on the morrow." Sir Dominick turned away. "Don't be frightened. My money won't burn you. 'Tis honest gold." A hair stood up on the back of Sir Dominick's neck. "I'm willing to make you a bargain. Your debts shall all be paid with gold to spare. You shall never miss the right card, the best throw, the winning horse. I guarantee your luck." Sir Dominick turned back round. "I will serve you for 7 years. The bargain starts tonight, the 28th of February. At the end of 7 years, I will come for you as the clock strikes 12, marking the passing of February into March. And you will come away with me. Sir Dominick hesitated. If I fail to come for you at the stroke of midnight on the last day, you will be free out of the bargain. Could a man possibly be fairer than that? Are you willing? I am willing. The gentleman produced a needle and bade Sir Dominick draw 3 drops of blood from his finger, with which he signed the bargain. Sir Dominick returned home a frightened man, and well he should be. But in a few days' time, he began to grow easier in mind, for his debts were quickly paid, and money came tumbling in to make him richer than ever before. Everything he took in hand prospered. There wasn't a game that he played or a bet that he made that he didn't win. And soon Sir Dominick went back to his own ways, for when the money came back, all came back. And soon there were hounds and horses and no end of wine and guests up at that grand house and grand diversions. Toward the end of the 6th year, however, something started to bother him more than common. And as the 7th year progressed, he became more and more worried. Till finally, one night, unbeknownst to anyone else, back he went, back to the lonesome wood. Only this time, the further he ventured into the wood, the more frightened he became. And he was just on the point of turning and leaving the place when, waiting for him, under a tree, in place of the elegant gentleman in fine clothes and gold braid, the evil one was now dressed in rags, and he seemed twice the size he'd been. His face was smutted with soot, and he carried a murder and steel hammer with a handle a yard long. What passed between the two of them that night will never be known. But afterwards, Sir Dominick's mood was as black as night. Oh, he hadn't a laugh for anything, or a word for hardly anyone, and his mood only became darker and darker and worse, till he lost all heart whatsoever, and he called for a priest. Well, the priest was with him a long time, and when he had heard the whole story, he gave Sir Dominick good advice. You must immediately give up swearing and drink and all bad company and live a strict virtuous life. And if at the end of 7 years, God be praised, the evil one doesn't come for you at the last minute as the clock strikes 12, you'll be safe out of the bargain. Well, there were only a few months left in the 7 years, and Sir Dominick lived all that time as strict as if he had taken holy orders. But, as you may guess, when the 28th of February came round, he was more than a bit worried. But the priest came up to the house that night, and the two of them knelt down in prayer, and they prayed. And they prayed for all they were worth, and kept up their praying and praying till And when the evil one failed to appear, they hugged and cried like two comrades after a winning battle. But just to be on the safe side, His Reverence spent the night in the room next to Sir Dominick's. Well, the next morning, after all that fasting and praying, Sir Dominick thought he might as well enjoy a good evening. So he sent around invitations to a half-dozen of the neighboring gentlemen, inviting them to come up to the house and dine with him. And His Reverence stayed and dined as well, and a roaring bowl of punch they had, and wine, and dice and cards, the guineas changing from hand to hand, and the songs and stories, which could do no one any good to hear. And seeing the turn that things had taken, the priest quietly slipped away. Well, 'twas just a little before midnight when Sir Dominick rises at the head of the table and says, "By the saints, 'tis the best first day of March I've ever seen." "But it ain't the first day of March," said Mr. Hippoden of Ballyferreen. He was a scholar and always kept an almanac. "If it ain't the first day of March, what is it?" said Sir Dominick, looking at him like he had two heads and dropping the ladle in the punch bowl. "'Tis the 29th of February. 'Tis a leap year." And just at that moment, old Connor Hanlon, who had fallen half asleep by the fire in the downstairs hall, opens his eyes and sees a nasty-looking fella in a long black cloak, his long black hair bushing out from under his hat. "I am here by appointment. Tell your master to come downstairs this instant." So up the stairs runs the butler. "Sir, there's a gentleman here for you. Tell him I can't come down quite yet." So down the stairs runs the butler. "For God's sakes, gentlemen, one of you, jump out the window and fetch back the priest." The gentlemen all looked at one another, trying to make heads or tails of it. Meanwhile, back up the stairs runs the butler. He says, "Sir, that unless you come down to him, he'll come up to you." "I don't understand, gentlemen. I must see what this means," says Sir Dominick, trying to put a face on it, but walking out of the room like one who knows that the hangman stands just beyond the door. So down the stairs he starts, two or three of the gentlemen leaning over the banister to see. Down the stairs he continues to where the evil one caught Sir Dominick by the waistcoat, whirled him high into the air, and hurled him through a window. Out went the candles, bang went the hall door, down ran the gentleman. When they reached the courtyard, it was all over with Sir Dominick. There wasn't a gasp left in him. His body was already cold and stiffened. If someone had passed Dunloran House at that moment, he would have seen two figures gliding down the drive in silence, their feet not making a sound. One a nasty-looking fellow in a long black coat, his long black hair bushing out from under his hat. And the other, Sir Dominick.
All the money that e'er I had, I spent it in good company, and all the harm that e'er I've done, alas, it was to none but me. And for all I've done, for want of wit, to memory now I can't recall. So raise to me the parting glass, farewell and joy be to you all. Of all the comrades that e'er I had, they're sorry for my going away, and all the sweethearts that e'er I had, they'd wish me one more day to stay.